Hi, welcome to another simple step here on Blended Family Breakthrough. I remember the first time my stepdaughter Annika initiated affection with me. This was several weeks before our wedding. Kim was dropping me off at my house, and as I leaned in to give her a kiss goodbye, the sweet little voice of Annika suddenly piped up and said, "Where's my kiss?" It was such a touching moment for me. I thought to myself, what do all these supposed stepfamily experts know? This is going to be easy. We haven't even started yet, and she's so open, she's willing, and I'm more than ready to love her. But it didn't take long before things started to change. Our journey wasn't nearly as easy as I'd hoped for or believed it would be in that moment of time. Stepparents, if you're anything like me, you probably entered your blended family with high hopes and a lot of motivation to connect with your stepkids. Your new spouse may have had high expectations too, hoping you would step in as someone their kids would quickly accept, trust, and love. But all too often, the hopes and dreams of the adults get buried under the weight of complex dynamics and children who are struggling in ways we don't always understand. Last week, we explored 5 common reasons that kids struggle to accept a step-parent. 1, the step-parent represents the end of a dream. 2, the child perceives the step-parent as a threat. 3, the child already has 2 parents and doesn't see the need for another one. 4, the child feels pressured to accept the new step-parent or the new family structure. And number 5, embracing the step-parent creates guilt or loyalty binds. So, before you take your stepchild's resistance personally, I want to encourage you to consider what might be going on under the surface for them. And if you missed last week's episode, we'll link to it down in the show notes. Today, I want to build on that conversation by exploring the reality of the motivational gap. We first discovered this concept in the book Building Love Together in Blended Families by Gary Chapman and Ron Deal. They describe how members of a stepfamily can differ greatly in their motivation to love, connect, and build relationship. That was certainly true in our family. As I mentioned earlier, I was highly motivated to connect with Annika. And of course, Kim desperately wanted that too. We both wanted deep trust and love to become the foundation of our family. We believed that love would win the day. But Annika's motivation wavered. On the day she asked me for that kiss, she seemed highly motivated and open, but there were also many days when she was guarded, reluctant, or indifferent toward me. And now, looking back, I'm sure she was wrestling with many of the emotional realities that we talked about last week. But here's what I didn't understand at the time. When Annika's motivation to accept and love me was running low, my motivation didn't automatically decrease. I was still highly motivated to connect with her, and that created a motivational gap between us. When I experienced the gap, it was painful, frustrating, and I was really confused. For Kim, it sometimes stirred up fear and guilt when Annika would pull away or complained about me. If this feels all too familiar to you, I want you to know this. The motivational gap is real, and it does not mean you're failing. So let's talk about how to manage the motivational gap. First and foremost, you need some patience. It takes time to merge 2 family systems and form a shared family identity. On average, that process can take up to 7 years. In their book, Ron and Gary say that assuming, as many people do, that children will love their step-siblings and their step-parent just because the couple has fallen in love is a huge setup. There's usually a gap in the timing of when this happens and to what depth bonding takes place. Softening your expectations is not about giving up hope. It's about becoming realistic about the timing and pace of bonding within your home. Now, that might make sense cognitively, but in the day-to-day experience of stepfamily life, patience is not always easy. The pain of rejection is real. The disappointment is real. The discouragement, that's real. So, what are you supposed to do in the meantime? Well, Ron and Gary encourage step-parents to be generous, persistent, steadfast, and sacrificial with your love, even toward those who aren't generous in return. I know, you're probably cringing right now and saying, what? No quick fix? No magic phrase that gets a stepchild to drop the attitude, soften their heart, and just get on board? Unfortunately, relationships take time, and adding pressure doesn't help, but neither does withdrawing to a safe distance or withholding love, which is what most of us naturally tend to do when we feel rejected. We protect ourselves, we pull back, we go cold. And while that's understandable, it probably won't move the relationship forward. Think about it. If you go cold because you're not getting the response you want, it's unlikely that your stepchild is suddenly going to warm up and move toward you. More often, they're going to feel that distance and become even more guarded. Someone has to go first. And in step-family life, that usually means the adult has to be willing to keep showing up with steady, patient, pressure-free love while the motivational gap slowly decreases over time. Ron and Gary go on to tell step-parents to cut yourself a break and lower your expectations of how quickly you can bond with a stepchild. They remind us that there are many moving parts in a step-family, and the depth of a child's heart has many layers, most of which you don't have any control over. And this part's really important. Sometimes eagerness can actually trip up well-intentioned step-parents. You might be trying to make everything right for a child who's already been through painful experiences. You might be desperate for the child to feel loved, secure, and connected. But when that eagerness comes across as pressure, it can make a step-parent feel overbearing or emotionally fragile. So instead, I encourage you to gently pursue a resistant stepchild and move at a pace that the child can handle. And you might want to pick up a copy of Ron and Gary's book to discover some practical ways to do that. It's an excellent resource for every blended family, and you'll find a link for it in the show notes. So this week, simply pay attention to the motivational gaps in your blended family, keeping in mind that it may look different with each individual child. Remind yourself that the gap is normal. It doesn't mean you're failing. It doesn't mean hope is lost. It means you're living in the reality of step-family dynamics, and bonding takes time. Next, identify one area where you might need to grow. Maybe you need to soften your expectations and embrace a more realistic timeline for bonding. Maybe you need to keep growing in patience or understanding by putting yourself in your stepchild's shoes. Maybe you need to give yourself a break and get out from under the pressure of having to make everything okay. Or maybe you've been withdrawing to protect yourself, and you need to be the one who goes first by staying steady and persistent, even when progress feels slow. Choose just one area of growth to focus on this week. The truth is, love can win the day in your blended family, but it will take generous, persistent, steadfast, and sacrificial love, even toward those who aren't always generous in return. So, as our friends in the UK would say, mind the gap. Take the pressure off. Keep showing up. Move at the child's pace, and have a little confidence that small, steady moments of love can begin to close that gap over time. It did in my relationship with Annika, and it can for you too. Hey, thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks for another simple step.